The Holistic Self-Assessment, Chapter 6, Relationships. Question: are my relationships in line with my principles and goals? We will now move to one of the most important aspects of the self-assessment. Each of the previous chapters has focused on self-image and individual principles, goals, and habits. This chapter is about looking to your relationships for unhealthy habits and tendencies that will not help you grow into the highest version of yourself. Think of your most immediate relationships with those you see on a daily basis. These could include your significant other, your family, or your coworkers. Think about other people you have relationships with but do not necessarily interact with on a regular basis. These could be associates you see in your social circle, at work or school, or people you interact with via the internet. What is the nature of these relationships? Do you feel like your voice and presence are heard and acknowledged? Are you able to effectively communicate your needs within these relationships? When you think of these connections, what type of emotions come to mind? Are these the types of people who encourage you, empower you, and elevate you in ways that help you move closer to realizing your dreams? Or are they the type of people who create doubt, fear, and insecurity? I am not implying that you should run from every uncomfortable experience you have involving other people, but you might want to consider whether a relationship is going to help you reach your full potential so you can accomplish your goals. If you are spending your precious extra time, energy, and/or money on a relationship that directly contradicts your personal goals, it might be time to slow down and consider other possibilities. I have mentioned that I believe many people fail to achieve their dreams because they set unrealistic goals based on aspirations that are not their own. This happens when we believe we will be happy once we attain the lifestyle we see in movies, television, and celebrity social media feeds, or by trying to live up to family expectations. Our goals are often based on false realities and misrepresentations of a joyful life. We cannot rely on other people to define what happiness looks like in our own unique life. Additionally, when it comes to relationships, I believe some of the biggest stumbling blocks on the road to fruitful connection relate to communication. Individuals often fail to identify and communicate their feelings and needs, or there is an abundance of miscommunication between parties. If we are not able to properly communicate and listen to others, we are not capable of communicating our need for relationships in line with our principles and values. Once communication breaks down, there is little hope in expressing our desires for healthy relationships and habits. Quite simply, if we cannot effectively communicate with other people, we will have difficulty achieving our goals and working towards self-actualization, let alone developing relationships with these qualities. Since, in general, we are not isolated individuals living off-grid in complete separation from society, we regularly interact with other human beings. We are interconnected and interdependent on each other, no matter how much of an individual we may be. We do not need to give up our individuality to recognize this interdependence, but it is useful to understand the value of healthy dialogue with other people. By attempting to improve our communication and listening abilities, we are able to continue our own personal growth as well as contribute to the growth of those around us. One of the most effective tools for developing healthy communication and resolving conflicts is known as nonviolent communication. The technique was promoted by activist and psychologist Marshall Rosenberg. The premise of NVC is simple. Instead of arguing about who is right or wrong and who must win or lose, people should strive to have win-win interactions by focusing on ensuring the needs of each person are met. The goal is to find solutions to problems by addressing the unmet needs of everyone in the equation. From a holistic perspective, the way we communicate with each other is equally important for making changes in our personal habits and principles. It is extremely difficult to have a rational discussion when both parties feel their concerns are not being heard. Such a battle of insecurities is not likely to lead to a better understanding of one another. Implementing NVC techniques can help individuals become mindful of their own hearts and minds and take time to empathize with those they disagree with. This lays the foundation for a healthy discussion and a sense of acceptance among our peers. The goal of these exercises is to reevaluate your current relationships and the context of your principles, goals, and desire to live in alignment with your highest truth. If what you truly value is to live the life of your dreams, you will probably want to surround yourself with people who also want the highest good for you, whether they understand your desires or not. Relationships and communication can be powerful motivators for accomplishing goals. They can also be a source of stagnation, doubt, and fear. It's up to each of us as free, powerful, beautiful beings to take responsibility for the relationships we allow into our lives. Exercise. Take time to think about all of your relationships. What behaviors or character traits are you unwilling to accept from a relationship? In the space below, write down the name of every person in your immediate circle and those of importance whom you see less frequently. Describe each relationship. First, think about the practical details. How long have you known them? How did you meet? How are you connected to them? Next, think about the type of communication that exists in these relationships. Does compassion play a role in your conversations? Do you feel like this person is open to listening to your needs and requests? Are you listening to other people's needs and requests? How do others respond when you attempt to communicate your own needs? Do they make an effort to hear your needs and requests? Now begin to connect to yourself on an emotional level. How do you currently feel about this person? How have your feelings changed since you met them? If you have ever had any arguments or fallouts with this person, consider the details of the situation. When was the last time you thought of the incident? Was the situation resolved in a way that satisfied both of you? Are you still holding on to any emotional pain related to the situation? Do you think this relationship is in line with your previously stated principles and goals? Why? Is it possible to continue this relationship while also living a life of principle and pursuing your goals? For example, if you feel strongly about the environment and work to drastically reduce the amount of waste you produce, will you be able to maintain an honest and loving relationship with an individual who does not care about reducing waste? What changes need to be made if the relationship is to continue? In our example, would it be possible for the two people involved to communicate in an open, honest, and respectful way to ensure they hear each other's needs and requests? The answer to these questions depend on the amount of time each individual has dedicated to speaking and listening with compassion and respect.